So I'm going to do my own mock draft. They're flying around right now. We're about a month away from the actual NFL draft, maybe a little longer. Um, and it's an exciting time. So I've been a Packer fan my entire life. Went to games in the 80s, 90s as a kid growing up. So I've got quite a history of being a Packer fan through all the downs and now the ups. So if you've been a Packer fan in the last 25, 30 years, you're pretty spoiled. I was a Packer fan in the 80s and the 90s. So there were some bleak moments, but still, that was our team. That was my team, and I was excited about it. I've been a high school football coach in Wisconsin since 2000, so I spent a lot of time studying the game. Again, know what it's like to be a head coach, be an assistant, and do all those things in between. So really enjoyed it. Really love the sport. It's the ultimate team game. It's fast, it's physical. So I love that element and the intensity that it involves and requires. So I respect all the people that are involved with the sport at the youth level, high school level, college and pro level. That's a whole different ball game in some ways, and in other ways, I think it's the same thing as far as like how you run your locker room and things like that. So, but anyways, that can be a whole nother topic. We maybe get into that. Find this stuff interesting. I've enjoyed watching other podcasts. So, I'm just doing this for fun. If anybody cares. So I haven't done a whole lot of studying, and some of the draft picks have kind of done a little meddling here and there. So I'm just going to do this draft based on the team needs and maybe probably the best player available before I really start diving into kind of checking guys out and maybe do another one based on who I'd really love to see the Packers get. But we'll kind of do it this way, kind of just a dry run here. Prep work here, kind of looking at team needs. I found it interesting, depending on what source you go to, most of the team needs appear to be the same, but there are some interesting things that have popped up. So we kind of show you some of these sources. You always got to be careful where you go to get your sources, and we really don't know what's going to happen in the draft, but it's fun to speculate. It's fun to get excited for potential players, but only the guys, only the coaches and the GMs for the Packers, they know what they're going for. They know who they have on their board. They know where they rate them. They know which players they feel like is maybe worth trading up for, or if they don't get a shot at or miss out on somebody, they're going to trade out of a spot and get more draft picks and try to get quantity. And hope some of those guys stick. So only they know their strategy, and we just get to sit back and watch. But in the meantime, we can do some of these things and have fun ourselves. So this is one of many sources. I mean, you could go on. I could probably spend the entire time just going over this, but this is Acme Packing Company. Must be it's a Packer website. I just tried to just some of the top ones that popped up when I basically Googled, top needs for Packers draft, and then this is kind of what came up: 3% running back, 7% offensive line, 21% linebacker, and then 69% safety, which I guess makes sense with a lot of the safeties contracts. And this is before any trades or any contract extensions or re-signings have happened. So we don't even know what's going to happen there and how that will impact things. All right, NFL.com. This is, so guys that kind of follow these teams, they list safety, offensive tackle, cornerback, IOL, and edge. But yeah, I think those first three I would definitely agree with, right? With safety, again, where the team stands right now. But safety, tackle, or even guard, I hope they draft. I hope they re-sign Runyon. I don't know. I'm kind of partial to the fact that I know that maybe they could upgrade certain positions. Maybe I know. See, running back seems to be on here as well. When I go to this is MSN, so I don't even know who these people are and where they came up with this list. But wide receiver, I don't know that that's a draft need. I think they hit that one out of the park. Last one, running back. Yeah, could they upgrade somewhere? Maybe, maybe not. You never know when guys are going to be healthy and how they're going to pan out. But to be honest, again, being a coach, like I like what AJ Dillon did while Aaron Jones was injured. He's not as maybe as dynamic as Aaron Jones is, and we could see where that really helped the offense. But he's part of that culture that they developed in that locker room during this past season, and understanding that even in the NFL where it's a business, you still need that culture in your locker room, because that's a big thing that will separate one championship team from another. So here's offensive tackle, safety obviously on their cornerback, and that's kind of this particular website and what they stated were important. All right, so this is the mock draft I'm using. I don't know if there's one better out there, but here's the one. It's the NFL Pro Football, whatever mock draft simulator. They tend to update this based on things, so I do appreciate that part. There's so many players, and there's just so many dynamics that go into us. But I'm going to do 7 rounds. I know the Packers have a lot of draft. I'm not going to do any trades. And again, we'll kind of base it off of that team need and who's best available at that time when at that particular pick without any trade. All right, as we approach this first pick, as it's kind of simulating all the other draft picks leading up to this Packer pick, and you can see it shows potential trade offers. I'm going to reject all of those. However, if you do like this particular video, and I know this is a big thing, and this new to all this YouTube video stuff, but if you do like it, go ahead and spear the like button right in the back, like a blindside hit, but make sure you use the crown of your helmet to kind of spear the like button right between the shoulder blades. So anyways, I'm going to reject these and get to that first pick here. Aside from all the little pop-up windows that come in here, so this is going to be true with what I've been seeing lately on like Packers.com and other things. So we're going to draft Cooper DeJean. That's a safety from Iowa. This has changed. It used to be another safety. Obviously, Cameron Kinchins was one of these top safeties, and I think in my first mock drafts I was messing around with, I took him because they said he kind of was a lot like Nick Collins. But Cooper DeJean seems to be the next guy. So we're going to go ahead and take him in this first pick. So in this pick here, 41, you can kind of see, according to this draft, according to this particular simulator, you've got a D tackle, an edge, a wide receiver, quarterbacks. I don't see them taking, but you never know. It's not up to us. And you see a couple of offensive linemen in here that are at the top. They just also don't seem to take offensive linemen very early, but they seem to hit on them later. So, but the tendency to take a defensive stud in these first early picks seems to be a habit, or seems to be something that they've done, and try to hit on those guys, especially with wanting that type of style of defense. And again, without getting a whole lot into all of these particular players. I know Leonard Taylor at D tackle from Florida is at the top. You got this edge rusher. I'm just going to go ahead and take Devondre Sweat as somebody that make an impact. And I know they've already got a bunch of D linemen that they've hit on, but why not stack that defensive line? Tough right now, just the way that things have fallen. Leonard Taylor is still there, which tells me that if it happens to be the case, it probably was best not to take him. This would be tough because right now, there's whether the Packers take somebody else at 58, that again, somebody that maybe nobody knows or nobody anticipated, whatever that move might be. Maybe Tony Franklin at wide receiver from Oregon, they take him. But there's other D tackles that there's a lot of them down here. I could see them taking this Chris Jenkins, like that kid. He's from Michigan. So there's some options there, and I could see trading out of this spot to gain more picks, kind of trading out of 58 and get a few more picks later. But again, for the sake of this, I'm going to go ahead and draft that linebacker at Jeremiah Trotter Jr. At this point, this is tough. I don't even know. But again, this is one of potential many here. So I don't see this happening. I know a lot of people would like to see the Packers take Blake Corum or a running back. I saw a running back was on there on one where they thought that was a need. And like I said, I'm partial to keeping the guys that they already have, but that third guy, I'm not really sold on any of the guys that they have for number 3. But they came in and they did a job when needed. And so that's what you like. Again, trying to keep that core of that culture, those guys that bought in, and you're trying to keep that whole thing going. And the more new pieces you add to that, that challenge of trying to keep everybody on that same page. But I'm going to take Will Shipley because if you have, hopefully, you keep again, in my perfect world, I guess, like everybody does, they keep the guys that are there, Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon, who are some cornerstones to the locker room and to the team. But then finding somebody else that could potentially be that next Aaron Jones, because in this offense we can see that what a difference it makes when you have a running back of that caliber. Maybe it's Blake Corum, because this is a great section of picks here. They have 88 and 91 if they don't trade away or trade out or use those in some way, shape, or form. So then you're right back on the draft board again, or on the clock to go ahead and pick somebody next. And according to need, the Packers would need to take some sort of offensive lineman. I haven't seen a corner on here yet, or I guess we haven't taken a corner yet. So I'm going to take this Mike Sainstrell, a Michigan kid. I like those Michigan kids just because they were tough, and they come in with that kind of mindset and that culture that you already want in your locker room. So I think any Michigan kid that the Packers can take, or any team that gets a Michigan kid, is going to get a kid that comes in with the right mindset. So whether you like him or not, or yeah, Michigan found a way to win. So here's what we picked so far. I don't know if I'm a big fan of this particular draft, but this is what we've got so far. Sticking to defense with those top few picks. Finding an offensive player. Again, maybe somebody they feel like can, if Aaron Jones gets hurt, or somebody like this, an elusive and elite type running back they can get out of the draft, that they can even spell Aaron Jones and give him, not have to ride him for 17 games throughout the entire season. And you can kind of distribute that up a little bit, the carries and the touches, but you need that type of guy in the backfield in this offense. And then grabbing a Michigan kid at cornerback. So this is about the time now where we need to probably try to fill that need on the offensive line. And to be honest, I haven't done a lot of scouting on these guys, just a little bit here and there. I know they'd like a tackle. Right now, it looks like we have some guards on the board, and we're going to go with the next guy up. This Boston College kid. We're in the 5th round now, pick 168, and we're going to take this Javon Foster, for an offensive tackle from Missouri. I know this, for some, it may seem like a late offensive tackle pick, but Packers do a great job of taking these young linemen later in the draft. And I think it seems to me like they target these athletes. And I mean, offensive linemen aren't the same old linemen that maybe people are used to seeing. They're athletic, large human beings. Same thing with the D line. Even the guys that go 300 plus pounds, they can move. It's pretty impressive. So they do a great job of bringing these kids in that are later round draft picks on their offensive line, and they're great about keeping them versatile. So, and I think, without they played the entire season without David Bakhtiari, and I don't know that that's a huge need like maybe some people think, like it's a panic button type need. Safeties probably, if there is a position for the Packers, it's probably the secondary, especially at that safety position. Point as we get to the last few picks here, I'm going to go with the top players that are on there. We've got our guard, we've got our corner and safety. I think if a safety was on here that was at the top of this list, I would consider taking them, like Evan Williams, but we'll see if they're still available. Take Tommy Eichenberger at another linebacker. Seems to fit the mold of the type of defense that the Packers want to run here. Pick 216, we got a safety. I'm going to go for that safety just to add another guy in to compete here in the 6th round. You never know how these guys are going to pan out. Almost to the last pick here. As bad as I want to take another DB or even an offensive lineman, it wouldn't be a Packers draft without taking a tight end. And you know what? With a Michigan kid sitting there, I'm going to take him. Include this quickly. It also wouldn't be a Packers draft without drafting some sort of edge rusher. Jordan Strachan, apologize if I may mispronounce that, from South Carolina. So there we have it. There's our draft. I don't know if I'm a big fan of this particular one. It's kind of how this one fell, but that's kind of how the draft goes. You get the guys on your board that you really want, and sometimes you do and sometimes you don't. And that's why these guys get paid a lot of money to go and scout all these guys and have all these alternate plans. So if you're a fan of this and want me to do more, go ahead and take the subscribe button out for dinner. But when the bill comes, politely excuse yourself to go to the bathroom, but never return. All right, thanks a lot.